As the days and weeks passed, I learned we could get by without him. We were poorer then, and I could tell Mother worried, although she didn't say much to Curtis or me. As I grew wiser, and certainly by the time I was 11, I realized that the three of us were actually happier than we had been with Dad in the house. We had peace. Ah, peace is such an important thing. And I know how it feels to have peace in one's home instead of having people come into the home and then you feel anxious. And I like how there's this short sentence here. We had peace. I like that my attention went to that sentence. No periods of deathly silence filled the house. I no longer froze with fear or huddled in my room, wondering what was happening when Mother and Daddy didn't talk. I have a text to self connection. I remember my dad was very, very strict growing up, and we would get spankings if we didn't do the right thing. And that was how my parents chose to discipline us, no shade thrown at them. But I remember when my dad would come home from work, I would just have this feeling of anxiety. Like, is he going to find something that have I done something wrong? Am I going to be in trouble? Am I going to get another spanking? I remember very vividly living with those feelings of anxiety a lot throughout my life. So now that Dad isn't in the house, Ben is no longer having these feelings of anxiety. So I get that part. That's when I stopped praying for them to get back together. It's been for them to stay. It's better for them to stay split up, I said to Curtis, isn't it? Yeah, guess so, he answered. And, like Mother, he didn't say much to me about his own feelings. But I think I knew that he too reluctantly realized that our situation was better without our father. Trying to remember how I felt in those days after Dad left, I'm not aware of going through stages of anger and resentment. My mother says that the experience pushed Curtis and me into a lot of pain. I don't doubt that his leaving meant a terrible adjustment for both of us boys. Yet I still have no recollection beyond his initial leaving. Maybe that's how I learned to handle my deep hurt, by forgetting. I know from my studies with psychology that that's one way that our brain protects us. We forget things that are traumatic, and that helps to protect us so that we can keep on living the life that we need to live. We just don't have the money, Benny. Okay, I can see that these three dots here indicate that I am moving on to a new section. In the months after Dad left, Curtis and I must have heard that statement 100 times, and of course it was true. When we asked for toys or candy, as we'd done before, I soon learned to tell from the expression on Mother's face how deeply it hurt her to deny us. After a while, I stopped asking for what I knew we couldn't have anyway. In a few instances, resentment flashed across my mother's face. Then she'd get very calm and explain to us boys that Dad loved us but wouldn't give her any money to support us. I vaguely recall a few times when Mother went to court trying to get child support from him. Afterward, Dad would send money for a month or two, never the full amount, and he always had a legitimate excuse. I can't give you all of it this time, he'd say, but I'll catch up, I promise. I know so many families where that has been the case, where there's been a separation or a divorce and the father isn't paying child support, so the burden of everything is on the mom, and that is incredibly stressful. And I also know how it is for when your child asks for something, you want to give your child the whole world. Like I want to give my Naomi the whole world, but sometimes there's just not the money to get your child what your child wants. And so it's that much more difficult for a single mom in this situation. Dad never caught up. After a while, Mother gave up trying to get any financial help from him. I was aware that he wouldn't give her money, which made life harder on us. And in my childish love for a dad who had been kind and affectionate, I didn't hold it against him. But at the same time, I couldn't understand how he could love us and not want to give us money for food.